Hey guys, what's going on? This is your boy RJ Game News USA here, back today with another video. And today we are going over some big Star Fox Switch 2 sales, and also we have a rumor that, unlike Star Fox that didn't add levels, that Ocarina of Time might add dungeons, which would be super exciting and unexpected. So if you like this kind of content and you like gaming news, please smash that subscribe button and like the video. Alright, so this first clip is from Player Essence, and we're going to hear him talk about Star Fox and discuss. So without further ado...
So Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 starts off really strong in the UK. These are the numbers that are posted, or more like the data that Christopher Dring over there from the Game Business has posted up via Twitter, and here's what he had to say. Now, the game was #1 on the physical UK sales charts for the past week. The sales of Star Fox...
Now keep in mind, that is the physical edition of Star Fox is $10 more than the digital, but yet, despite that, it was still #1 in physical sales in the UK.
On the Nintendo Switch 2 has doubled Star Fox Zero sales on the Wii U. Remember, this is all just...
And it's already doubled the sales of Star Fox Zero on the Wii U.
Physical data does not include digital, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Now, the sales of Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 are 70% above Star Fox 64 3D, and that's a very important stat. And the reason why it is...
Wow! 70% better than Star Fox 64 3D. Wow. That's pretty cool.
That was the last pure Star Fox 64 game released, so if you want to judge it against two different things... Now, I don't know about the install base, where the 3DS was at the time compared to the Nintendo Switch 2.
Switch 2 had a bigger install base.
Install base is anything massive at this point in the UK.
3DS, it was very early in the 3DS.
It's probably above maybe what the 3DS was aligned up, or it's like right around it, or maybe a bit above it. But at the same time, like, to see that there's far more interest in Star Fox 64 on the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to the remake of that compared to what they did, because the 3DS version is a remaster of Star Fox 64. They take that game, they make the graphics better, but fundamentally pretty much the same. They didn't rewrite the code, they didn't do anything like that. They just took it and just made it look better. Whereas Star Fox...
Right, so basically what we've seen with both Star Fox and Ocarina of Time, which we'll get to in a little bit, they are both N64 games. They both came out in the late 90s, and then they got remasters on the 3DS and like early on in the 3DS's life in like 2011. And then now for the Switch 2, a full like 15 years after the remaster. The remaster was 15 years after the originals, and now the remakes are 15 years after the remasters, 30 years after the originals. Basically, roughly, not quite, but about around there. So it's funny Nintendo's doing that same playbook. But where's my Super Mario 64 remake? We got a remaster on the DS. I'm ready for a full-blown remake that game.
Nintendo Switch 2 is a full remake of the game. You got the 60 FPS, you got the added rendering and graphics. Like, it's a completely different beast under the hood compared to Star Fox 64 3D, which is pretty much built on top of that original Nintendo.
So again, great sales for Star Fox. That's awesome. I expected it. They released it a pretty good time window, honestly. It was June. There wasn't a lot going on. Nintendo fans were definitely starved for some games. I don't regret my purchase, but I didn't get a whole lot of content out of it. I think they made a couple mistakes here where they could have made the game at least double the length by not having it be branching paths, just linear out all the levels, add a prologue level, and that would have been great. But speaking of adding levels, they may not have done it for Star Fox, but the rumor is they might do that for Ocarina of Time. Look out, guys. This could be an $80 game. If Fire Emblem was, and Ocarina of Time is adding dungeons, wouldn't be shocked if this is an $80 game physical. Alright, so we're going to move on to that Ocarina of Time story now. This is a clip from Nintendo Land. So we will watch the clip and discuss.
So yeah, that one was kicking my butt. It was chopped and pieced in multiple takes, so yeah. But we did it. But if you're new to this and didn't know exactly what was going on, we're playing every single Ocarina of Time song from the beginning of the game to the end of the game until Ocarina of Time Remake actually releases. But today we are talking about the dungeons of Ocarina of Time, but not just the dungeons that we already know about. We've already talked about that in a past video. Today we're talking about brand new dungeons. What could new dungeons look like in this remake? Now I do want to make it clear, of course nothing was confirmed, we very well could get nothing new added to this game, but this is just fun speculation that we are doing, and you guys also sent in some of your comments about temples that you want to see and some changes. But if you're wondering why we're even doing this, pretty much there was originally other dungeons planned for Ocarina of Time. The Light Temple was a thing that was planned.
So this is one of the few reasons why this could be possible. Ocarina of Time, it was planned to have some more dungeons that they had to cut out. Is Nintendo willing to get a little bit more creative than Star Fox and decide to give us some unreleased dungeons but remade from the ground up? Can we get one? I think we can. I think there's room for it. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that that's what's going on here.
And didn't make the final cut. Same with the Ice Temple, that was just changed into a smaller ice cavern. And the Forest Temple was going to be more of a wind temple. Now, we pretty much all love the Forest Temple, so I don't think they need to change that one, but we're going to be talking about how they could add all these dungeons as separate extra dungeons, and you guys even gave some extra comments on some other things they could do as well. Before we get started, guys, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe to stay. These two games have temples and dungeons that are actually going to help us explain what we could have here in Ocarina of Time. The first one being the Light Temple. This was a temple originally planned to be in the game. We don't know when or where this was going to take place or even how it was going to take place, but we do know at some point in time Link was going to come face to face with the Triforce on a pedestal, and there would be some type of trials or dungeon where Link would get the Light Medallion from Rauru. In fact, he gets every elemental medallion from completing that corresponding dungeon or temple, and we don't have anything that we have to do in order to get the light one. Raru's just like, hey, take this. Get out my temple. I think a way to...
Exactly, and that right there, that's the one. The Light Temple. That's the one they could add some shit. I'm begging you, Nintendo, please.
Which this is going to be the last temple, or the transition period, where Link finally turns into an adult. After he gathers the 3 sacred stones and places them on the pedestal, he then lifts the Master Sword. As soon as he lifts it and awakens his adult version in the future, immediately he's taken to a new dungeon, and this could be the Light Temple. I think it's very interesting how lifting the sword actually opens the gateway into the spirit realm, allowing Ganondorf to walk in and grab the Triforce, even though once he tries, it splits into pieces, which I also hope we get a full cutscene of that. I think Link appearing in the Sage Room is fine, but I would really like to see an actual dungeon that we have to work for with this Light Medallion.
Yes, exactly. That is the hope. That is the hope. Because the way it happens is Link wakes up and then that's it, right? And you continue and you go on to the next thing. It would be perfect to stick an extra dungeon in there. Now look, I'm not going to continue the rest of this clip because, to be completely honest, everything else feels like wild speculation. And everything else they could add feels like fan fiction. But I think this is actually on the board, has a possibility, and especially because it can fit right into the story. So, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching this video. For once, we had a little bit of positive news, and this is your boy RJ signing out. Have a good one.